Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is the Joe Concha Show.
Joe Concha.
Joe Concha.
Joe Concha.
77 WABC.
All right, people, it is a Thursday night here in New York City. And it is, I'm sorry, it's Thursday night already, isn't it? Wow. Tuesday night, geez. All right. I went, Tony, you're killing me. I said Wednesday to start, didn't I? No, I didn't. I said Wednesday. All right, I have Tony in my ear right now, who is the board op, and I swear it is Wednesday. I swear I said that. We're going to rewind the tape. But the point is, how are we doing out there in New York? It is so, I don't have to tell you this. I mean, really, really cold. And we have a huge storm coming our way that will hit here Saturday night, early Sunday, and should last through Monday, which, all right, it's January. It's, New York City. I get it completely. In New Jersey, I grew up here for, obviously a very long time. And these things happen, but it never happens when I'm supposed to be sitting on a beach earning 20% because my flight to Florida, Boca Raton, is supposed to leave on Monday morning, right in the middle of this thing. And it looks like already I'm getting alerts from United Airlines saying, hey, if you want to switch your flight, we'll pay for it. Not a problem. I mean, you don't have to take a fee or anything like that if you want to go to another date. So at this point, it appears, even though we're only, already 4 days out, it's not exactly a sure thing, as we've seen in the past when we hear about big storms. They end up not coming to fruition. At the same time, though, this thing apparently is going to stretch something like 2,000 miles. I mean, it's a monster storm, so it's hard to miss at this point. The question is, do you get 2 feet of snow or do you get 6 inches? That's basically what we're looking at this point. And either way, that ain't good. Either way, I'm going to be probably not on a beach in Florida earning 20%. I'm probably going to have to switch this flight, end up staying here, snow blowing and salting the driveway and doing all these things that as a middle-aged suburban guy, things you do when these things happen. And it's not fair. Damn it. It just isn't fair. Anyway, what else isn't fair? In New York City, a judge here has now today thrown out the only Republican map in New York City. All right. And when we say map, we're talking congressional. And there is one seat that is held right now by a Republican, and that is by Nicole Malliotakis, and she may be out at this point. This judge, obviously, like many New York judges, just decided, okay, well, you know what? We're going to redistrict this so to make sure that a Democrat wins, like we see in California, like we see in Connecticut, like we see in Illinois. Illinois, you got to see that map sometime. It literally, like there's a snake that runs through southern Illinois and then up through just enough urban areas to make sure that there isn't any Republican congressional representation there. And that's a big problem. And you can say, well, Republicans do it too. Well, Democrats have been doing it for a long time. And Republicans are saying, like, okay, it's almost like the steroid era, right? That enough offensive players, batters, were using steroids, and enough pitchers then came about and said, you know what, they're going to do it, we're going to do it too. Whether it be Clemens, whether it be Pettit, if we want to talk about New York Yankees, for example, down the line. In other words, if they're doing it, then we're going to do it too. And that's what Republicans are doing in Texas, what they're attempting to do in Florida and other places. So when it all shakes out, if you look at the map, Republicans will gain a slight advantage through all the gerrymandering. I don't know how you feel about gerrymandering, but I guess, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube at this point. Either you redo all these districts to go back where they were originally, or you just don't, do it at all, and everybody does it. So I guess we're going to do the whole, high school, college drinking thing before, you could get an actual driver's license, and then therefore, before you can show you're 21, it's that thing. Like, well, everybody's doing it, so I'm going to do it too. So that's where we're at this point. But Nicole Malliotakis could very well be out of a congressional seat in New York City. Meanwhile, Pam Grier, I guess, she's still alive. Like, I didn't know. I don't mean that in any sort of derogatory way, but she was on The View today, and it just is amazing to me that people can go on national television and just blatantly lie. It's not amazing because you look at the host of that show, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, the girl who's supposed to be like the conservative on there, who's anti-Trump, so she's really not conservative now, is she? Farrah Griffin, I believe her last name is, Alyssa Farrah Griffin. So she goes on there and decides to tell this story about some lynchings that went on when she was a little girl growing up in Ohio. And I'll give you the punchline on the other side of this. This is cut number 7. Go.
Sometimes we would go from, tree shade to get back to the apartment. My brother and I, my mom, with bags. And my mom would go, don't look, don't look, don't look. And she'd pull us away. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Because there is someone hanging from a tree.
What?
And they have a memorial for it now.
Right.
Where you can see where people were and left. And it triggers me today.
Oh, okay. Well, Pam Grier was born in 1951, and the last time someone was hung in the state of Ohio was 40 years before that. So that never happened. And yet Pam Grier goes on The View and you hear all the gasps from the SEALs in the audience. And if you watch the video, Whoopi puts her hand to her mouth and Sunny Hostin, is hearing like this is like the Super Bowl for her. Like, oh, yes, racism. I mean, we got to go back, 80 years to find it. Or in this case, I guess the last public lynching in Ohio was, let's see, if I'm doing the math, 115 years ago. But regardless, Pam Grier can go on ABC News and The View falls under the ABC News division. Yes, it really does. Go figure. And say something like that. And it's just, I use this saying, but it is true. It's a whole bowl of wrong. Yet this is what people can get away with. And here she is saying that now, I guess that fictional hanging that she saw is like now in 2026 because we have all these lynchings going. Oh, that's right. We don't have any lynchings going. What is she talking about? And the only thing I could think of in these situations is, okay, who is she listening to as far as where she gets her news from or lawmakers that she trusts? And I'm guessing probably it's Jasmine Crockett, who has a nightly feature on this show. And sure enough, earlier that day, before Pam Grier made up this story, here's what Crockett had to say about the Trump administration and white supremacy and, yes, lynching black people. This is cut number 6. Go.
They not even going, honestly, they're about to outlaw the idea of white supremacy and white hate. Like, they are about to be like, oh, that's not a thing. Forget the fact that you're talking about getting rid of, like, the classification for nooses in a time in which we have seen these random black bodies be strung up down south. Also, seemingly at a time in which you're back in office, because what you do is you embolden the hate. You embolden everybody to take off their hoods. That is what he has done. He is the one that is producing this violence.
Oh, okay. So I guess we know where Pam Grier got, that idea from, the whole randomly lynching black people thing. Again, Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate in Texas. All right, as a state that Donald Trump won by 13 points, that has not gone Democrat in a very, very, very long time. And this is the type of stuff that she's talking about because she does not want to win in Texas. She has no aspirations of winning in Texas, that Senate seat. Every poll shows her down, regardless of who her opponent is, whether that's John Cornyn, whether that is Ken Paxton, whether that's Wesley Hunt. It does not matter. It's basically you're playing the Denver Broncos at this point. They have no quarterback. All right, you're going to win. I hate to go off on a tangent, but my God, the Broncos, they have this game won basically, and the quarterback is basically going to a knee, running out the clock, and breaks his ankle. Bo Nix, granted, a Buffalo defender came in and did what defenders do, grabbed him by the legs, and the leg went one way and something else went the other, and then that was that. But still, geez, I mean, you heard about this afterwards. You're like, Bo Nix broke his ankle? That's crazy. And now the Patriots go to Denver, and they're going to play a quarterback who has not thrown a ball in the NFL in 3 years. So, yeah, big favorite, just like with Jasmine Crockett. Regardless of who plays Crockett, you're going to have a blowout. I'm not saying a blowout. Denver's defense is very good, and the Patriots are not exactly battle-tested, but at the same time, when the guy who basically carried you against Buffalo is out, you got to wonder what's going to happen there. And Crockett, same thing. Like, she's going to run here, she's going to lose, and then there she is. I mean, there she will be, right next to Whoopi, Joy Behar, Sonny Hostin, jamming her up on The View, making 7 figures, on a beach earning 20% when she is off, right? That's the way that's going to work. That is the whole end game here. She knows it, and our stupid media plays right into it because every time she speaks, there is a microphone there. She is the new E.F. Hutton, except a very dumb, very provocative, very reckless, very childlike E.F. Hutton, but there she is, and that is your congresswoman from Texas. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. It is I swear to God, a Wednesday night. We went back and forth on this. But yeah, Wednesday has no feel. If I could go off on a little Seinfeld tangent for a moment. Certain days have feels. Thursday has a feel because you're almost at the end of the week. Friday, obviously, is Friday, big feel. Saturday, major feel. Sunday, same thing. Monday, because you're off of a weekend, therefore you're like, you got the Mondays, as they say. That has a feel. Tuesday, Wednesday, no feel. All right, so when you get to midweek, it's kind of hard to remember exactly which day it is because Tuesday and Wednesday have no feel. I know all about hump day. I've heard about that. It doesn't exist. I'm working on Saturday night, so there is no, get to Saturday and you're home. But for most people, I guess they feel that way. Anyway, this is the Joe Concha Show on a Wednesday night here in frigid New York City. 12 inches of snow coming on Sunday and Monday. Good luck with that. Back with more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, 77 WABC. Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care. It's the Joe Concha Show. Joe Concha. Joe Concha. Joe Concha. 77 WABC.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So I can't stop talking about Minnesota, which, again, what goes on in that state, right? They haven't voted for a Republican presidential candidate since 1972. That's a pretty long time ago. I'm thinking that's 53 years. Am I doing the math right? Yeah, so that's not good. Actually, 54, because we're in 2026. So 54 years since they voted for a Republican presidential candidate. Say hi to Jimmy Carter twice and Walter Mondale and, let's see, Al Gore, John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden. Great job, guys. Stand-up job, no question. But Minnesota is continuing to drive the news cycle because we are seeing now what's gone on in Minnesota, Minneapolis particularly, over the last 12 days or so, right? So Nicole Good shot in her SUV as she tried to run over. She did. Or at least, even if she wasn't trying, even if she was just trying to flee the scene, hit a ICE officer, right, to the point where he had internal bleeding in his torso, right? You watch the videos. Clearly, he's dragged for a bit. The same ICE officer who was dragged something like 100 feet by another illegal. Nicole Good's not illegal, but by somebody doing something illegal, I should say, back in June of 2025. And it required 33 stitches. So this guy has been either hit intentionally or not intentionally, or dragged intentionally or not intentionally, at least twice. And obviously then Nicole Good warranted, unfortunately, getting shot, and she was killed. And ever since then, it's been anarchy there, where you've had also 3 illegals who have attacked an ICE officer, one with a snow shovel, which is a deadly weapon, other with things that could really, really hurt somebody. And that ICE officer shot one of those illegals in the leg. And then it was portrayed as, well, this ICE officer is just, it's target practice, and they're just shooting at illegals who aren't doing anything to justify it except, totally and completely. Now we had over the weekend, Don Lemon, of all people, probably the least, let's put it this way, when his piss hits the urine, it hits the urinal, it sounds feminine. Like, this guy has zero testosterone, like whatsoever. Yet he led, and don't tell me he didn't, a charge into a Minneapolis church where then Lemon, a purported journalist, then interrogated the pastor, also talked to other people there, parishioners, who were just there to pray on a Sunday morning, as many Americans do. And these maniacs, again, led by Lemon, who are professionals, by the way, because we have seen these people now, we're learning afterwards, they have also been a part of other so-called protests in other cities where they've done provocative things like this that are against the law, because they're obviously being paid by someone, Soros, or someone out there who is just basically, it's like the bat signal, right? It goes up into the sky, and they're like, oh, there's our signal. Let's do it. Time to go. Where should we be? Oh, it's all paid for? Perfect. So they show up in places like Minneapolis, for example, and wreak havoc. In this case, again, in a church where it's against the law to do these things, whether you're talking the Ku Klux Klan Act or other acts that say that you cannot do this on private property in places of worship. End of story. Anyway, here is cut number 1 of the St. Paul church raider. His name is William Kelly, and he is begging Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute him, and also just basically saying some crazy things. Again, this is what the Democratic base is at this point. This is cut number 1. Go.
I mean, what we're seeing around this country is they're using their political influence to attack people that disagree with them. They're going to come at me with charges, and I'm not scared of that. There's no base for these charges. I did not block them from, their service. They welcomed us in. They never asked us to leave. The police never came in and removed us. So we didn't stop their service. In fact, people were still praying the entire time.
Oh,
the music
shut up.
was still playing the entire time. So, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it. And for all the people giving me death threats, threatening my life, kill me. Go ahead, kill me. Because you know what? As Fred Hampton said, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution.
Yay. What a joke. Oh, everybody still was able to pray with people yelling in their faces, yelling about white supremacy, yelling about white privilege. Why aren't you doing anything about the Nazis that are outside? Oh, yeah, that's totally peaceful. Also, did the hands up, don't shoot thing from Ferguson, from Missouri, many years ago, a narrative that has been completely and totally debunked? Doing the hands up, don't shoot, and oh yeah, by the way, Nicole Good was actually murdered. Okay, great. And this guy is saying, you could kill the revolutionary. Yeah, dude, you're not exactly Patrick Henry, okay? You're a dude who was hired by far left, dark money to go and do these things, not because you believe in it, because you're getting paid. That's what's going on here, but you can't kill the revolution. Revolution against what? People that go to church? What exactly were you revolting against? Oh, right, ICE agents in Minneapolis who are removing child traffickers, sex traffickers, rapists, and murderers, and you're protecting these people. If that's the revolution, yeah, not exactly George Washington crossing the Delaware. That's certainly for sure. Meanwhile, the protesters, I swear to God, it is the just oddest, no, it's not odd actually, it's predictable at this point when you actually look at what a protester looks like these days in Minneapolis. And they all look the same. They all have hair shorter than me. They all have dark rimmed glasses. They all, have a very supple look to them, it's, for lack of a better term, right? Jack LaLanne, to use an 80s term, yep, that membership ain't happening at this point. And here's one. I'm sorry you can't see the video, but trust me, you know exactly what this person looks like. Remember Marcy from Charlie Brown, the best friend of Peppermint Patty? Basically that. Dark rimmed glasses, short dark hair, screaming at a black ICE officer, and then going full racist by saying that he has the reading level of an 8th grader when all he's trying to do is explain that they're trying to get bad people out of their neighborhoods. But this ain't what this protest, scare quotes, is about. This is cut number 2. Go.
You guys tried to detain your own person.
Your own person?
Yeah. Oh, that's probably because you have the reading level of a 8th grader, my dude. Come on.
Well, that's nice. So you call the black ICE agent basically illiterate because he's just trying to do his job. And then hear what she said? You're taking one of your people out of here. Yeah, that's not racist at all either. I mean, come on. This is insane. And they're all the same. It's remarkable. And these people basically seem to be lacking some sort of human connection, right? Does this person have kids? I don't know. Probably not. Or maybe they're full grown and out of the house and now they feel a need to take care of people. And I get that completely if you go work at a soup kitchen or you go work at the local boys club, right? Or you go to work at places truly for people in need. These folks, these maniacs, they're people of need, are basically people who are the worst criminals on the planet. And they feel like they need to protect them. Or even if it's just people who aren't criminals, they just entered the country illegally. Still, like, that's your cause now at this point? That's the hill you're going to die on? Oh, anyway, this is great, by the way. My favorite clip of the day. I have many clips here that I'm looking at right now, but my favorite clip easily is this Minnesota teacher, all right? Her name is Heather Abramson, and she wrote a thesis in the past supporting the LBGTQ plus minus equal. I mean, there's so many, letters and other symbols that I can't keep up anymore. But basically, you know what we're dealing with at this point. And by the way, glasses, short hair, not exactly in shape. I'm sorry. I know I sound misogynistic at this point. I would say the same thing as a dude if they were presenting themselves in this way over and over again. But you know what I'm talking about in terms of the appearance. And here she decides to challenge one of her students, a teenager, mind you, over the death of Renee Good, and basically tries to make the argument that the officer was not in danger. And this student is the more mature one here, despite probably being a good 30, 35 years younger than the teacher in question. This is cut number 3. Go.
His move should have been to go like this if he was really afraid. Your job as a police officer is to de-escalate. No, he had no.
Yes.
No. She was not. I'm not going to argue with you.
You're arguing right now. You're arguing.
Because watch the video. He was not in danger.
Just because you're yelling doesn't mean you're winning an argument. Just because you're yelling doesn't mean you're winning.
Just because you're yelling doesn't mean you're winning.
Yeah, just because you're alive doesn't mean you are intelligent.
It's somebody said she got shot, but it's a split. You have a split second.
Yeah.
And they're not. You're gonna take that? She just called you stupid.
Wow. I mean, that was great. Just because you're yelling doesn't mean you're right. And then the student says that you have a split second when a car is coming at you to make a decision. And this teacher should be the mature one, tries to have a conversation, perhaps, with the student as far as who is right and who is wrong in that situation. Instead, starts screaming in his face as if he is an ICE agent himself. The 16-year-old is obviously beyond his years in that particular case. Meanwhile, here you have ICE acting executive associate director. His name is Marcos Charles, okay? And he is saying that Trump, in terms of what he was looking to do, as far as, not Trump, ICE, the Trump administration. Okay. There were 500 criminal aliens that the Trump administration, ICE, DHS, was targeting in Minnesota as far as the worst of the worst, the criminals that we described before. And what did Tim Walz do as governor? He literally, instead of handing them over to ICE so they could be deported out of jails, let them out onto the street, which at last check might be a slight safety issue and, basically proof of life issue for some people if they run into these folks. But here is literally the acting executive director, Marcos Charles, explaining exactly what Minnesota has done, and it is sick. This is cut number 4. Go.
Since President Trump took office 1 year ago today, the state of Minnesota has released nearly 500 criminal aliens who were in police or state custody rather than turning them over to ICE for removal proceedings.
500. Instead of okay, guys, here you go, we're working with you. And again, if Minnesota and New York, by the way, Zohran Mamdani, works with ICE, you could get these people removed, right? They're here illegally. They've committed crimes. You send them back to their countries of origin and let the justice system there, whatever that may be, deal with them there. Wouldn't that be better for the state of Minnesota, the city of Minneapolis, the state of Illinois, the city of Chicago, the state of California, the city of Los Angeles, the state of New York, and New York City? It's just logic. Why not do that? But this, again, to use the term again, the hill that they're going to die on, including Mamdani, who went on The View yesterday and talked about how he will battle Trump every step of the way on ICE, even wants ICE to be abolished, which as a mayor of New York City, I'm pretty sure you have no power to do that. Abolished, really? Okay, so who's going to backfill that whole effort exactly? And again, during Obama, who was called the deporter-in-chief of this country because he deported more people out of this country, including more than Trump. He had 8 years to do it. I'm sure Trump will catch up very soon. But at that time, the left, in a very derisive way, went after Obama and said, you are the deporter-in-chief. How can you do this? This is immoral. This is wrong. We're a country that embraces immigrants, not illegal immigrants, but regardless, that whole argument gets completely washed out among the left in terms of what is illegal and what is an actual legal immigrant. And yet here you have Obama being attacked for doing so, and now Trump the same way. But during Obama, the attacks were from the left, but they were largely muted. You did not see the protests like we're seeing now, and ICE agents being attacked like they are now. And CNN even did ride-alongs with ICE, cheering them on for doing such a great job. And now it's the exact opposite on that ridiculous network where only friends and relatives are watching. As for Don Lemon, I wrote a whole story on him today for the Washington Examiner. How, again, this person had the absolute, for lack of a better term, I can't say balls because they don't really exist with this person, but the hubris, we'll put it that way, to say that he was an objective journalist, a serious journalist who does not care about taking a side, and he just speaks truth to power. And he's going to hold the powerful accountable. Oh, my goodness gracious. I'll even give you some quotes, by the way. I'll get my column here up right now. Let's see. Quote, I have a responsibility, not only as a journalist, but as an American, to tell the truth and to abide by the promises of the Constitution. That's what Don Lemon said when he was on CNN. Let's do some more, shall we? If you're going to be in the business of news and telling people the truth, you've got to be honest. That's what Lemon also said. You've got to have the same rules for yourself as you do for everyone else. Also, finally, the best one. Quote, I don't consider myself a journalist. I don't consider myself a celebrity. I'm just a journalist, which is another all-timer from Don Lemon who, trust me, would love nothing more but to be a D-list celebrity. And that's basically what he is now at this point. Anyway, President Trump had some words for Don Lemon after he led that church protest in Minneapolis and then interrogated the pastor, then said that the parishioners basically have white privilege because they are all part of white supremacy. You can't make it up. He is basically, I don't know, Jasmine Crockett with less hair. That's Don Lemon. Here is Donald Trump, however, going off on the man he once called the dumbest person in broadcasting, and boy, was that accurate. This is cut number 5. Go.
So this is what the people are trying to protect. because all ICE wants to do is get them out of our country, bring them to prisons and jails and mental institutions from where they came. That's all they want to do. They're patriots, and they have to be abused by guys like Don Lemon, who's a loser, lightweight. I saw him the way he walked in that church. It was terrible. I have such respect for that pastor. He was so calm. He was so nice. He was just accosted. What they did in that church was horrible yesterday.
Hey, he's right about that. Horrible, terrible, despicable. And now Lemon could end up, I love the irony around this, could actually be indicted under the KKK Act. The guy who's played the race card from the bottom of the deck since the beginning of time, as far as just saying if you basically support Trump, not just if you're Trump, but every supporter of his, all 78 million people who voted for him must have some racism in their body. They're not voting on, I don't know, securing the border, and they're not voting on, I don't know, lower taxes like we're going to get from the big, beautiful bill, which now is in effect in 2026. And trust me, when you get your tax returns and you see the money you're going to get back as opposed to what you got back during the Biden years, you're going to say, yep, this is what I voted for. Maybe they voted for a guy who would attack Iran's nuclear facilities and take out that capability that so many Republicans and Democrats have said in the past that they would do as far as presidents are concerned. Well, Trump finally did something about it. Maybe the guy who snatched and grabbed Nicolas Maduro, the most notorious narco-terrorist on the planet, and he had the cojones to do that as well. Maybe we like having gas below $3 a gallon, in some states even below $2 a gallon. That's pretty nice. I could go on as far as wages being up, growth being up, and just overall the optimism that we're seeing around the United States right now, and a leader that actually is awake, lucid, we don't need proof of life from, and just works tirelessly for the American people. I'm not saying this as some sort of Trump cheerleader. I'm looking overall at his performance over the past year, and I can't remember a president in my lifetime that has been ever this effective in his first year. It really is remarkable when you look back on everything that he has accomplished in his first year, and we're celebrating that right now as far as year one. Year two, believe me, will only be better with, it lines up so perfectly for Trump from a political perspective, because you're going to have the World Cup here, which is a very, very big deal, right? It's going to be throughout North America, but the final, as far as the FIFA World Cup final, will be about 20 minutes away from my house in East Rutherford, New Jersey, at the horrible MetLife Stadium. But, it's a big stadium, so it'll look good that day, at least, and not like the silver Bose radio that it always represents, the biggest waste of money of any stadium I've ever seen in my lifetime. But nevertheless, we're going to have the World Cup here in the final anyway will be July. There are going to be plenty of games going on throughout America in June. That is big, and it coincides right over with the 250th anniversary of this country, where we're going to have the ball drop in Times Square on July 4th. We're going to have UFC fights on the South Lawn of the White House on July 4th. You're going to have all these different celebrations going on in only a Trumpian way that we would never see under a Democratic administration, because obviously, especially with Trump, it's all about making America great again and keeping it great. And when you have all these different things that are so positive going on, the gloom and doom of Democrats just ain't going to fly. People are going to be like, you know what, you're Debbie Downers. We don't want you at the party. We're having a party right now for America, for the World Cup, for all these different things that are going on at this point. And even Donald Trump last night was at on Monday night, Miami, Indiana game. I can't believe that was a national championship. It's hard to get out of my mouth. Indiana's a basketball school. When Miami was relevant in terms of football about 25 years ago, and they met for what was a classic, and there's Trump there, and you see the numbers on the game, 25 million people tuning in. That's smart. He's been to the Super Bowl, been to, obviously, the Daytona 500, UFC fights, Yankee Stadium over the summer as well. Randy Levine, very generous to bring him there as well, and I could go down the line. He's been to 10 major sporting events just in the past year alone, or 10 more than Joe Biden ever went to. And that's just something where the president understands the optics of everything, and optimism always wins. You look back at Ronald Reagan, shining city on a hill, George H.W. Bush, at least the first campaign, 1,000 points of light, and then even Democrats. Hope and Change, right? That was, I believe, Obama, or the man from Hope in terms of Clinton. And then obviously Make America Great Again was a better slogan than Hillary Clinton's, which was I'm with her. Yee, not exactly inspiring. Anyway, I am Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. Back with so much more on 77 WABC in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, 77 WABC. It's the Joe Concha Show. Joe Concha. Joe Concha. Joe Concha. 77 WABC.
All right, everybody. Did you see Donald Trump in Davos today? Talk about a completely pretentious sounding city or town, Davos, Switzerland. Of course, every private jet probably in the world is there right now to warn us about climate change and why we need to really change our habits around the way we travel and just the way we do things in general in an effort to save Mother Earth. Well, yeah, taking a private jet there probably ain't a good idea, but trust me, just Google when we go to break next time. Let's see, Davos, private jets. You're going to see a lineup. It looks like a bad Ford dealership. It just boomed one after the other of all these rich people going there to lecture us on how we should live our lives, what we should drive, and how we should fly when they are the biggest hypocrites of all time. Also there, for some reason, is the governor of California. Why is the governor of California in Switzerland? Exactly what purpose, in terms of if you're representing the state and you're doing the state's business, what are you doing in an economic forum in Switzerland that is usually reserved for world leaders and others that I know aren't governors of a state in the United States? At last check, of the 49 other states that exist here in this republic, there is not one other governor there except for Newsom, which means, I guess, he's looking for, it's a lot like Don Lemon, attention, right? Just, hey, pay attention to me, and here I am, and you know I'm going to run for president, and here I am to take on Trump. And you saw Newsom today imploring European leaders, again, a representative of the United States, at least of the United States' biggest state in terms of population, saying that they need to stand up to Trump, show a backbone, and don't back down. Wait, you're on our side, right, Gav? No, apparently you aren't. Not happy about the whole Greenland thing where Trump very, very happy in terms of what he eventually was able to extract from the European Union, from Greenland, as far as rare minerals and bases as far as defense. We heard over and over again how, China and Russia, the shipping lanes are not what they used to be even 40 or 50 years ago. Now, China and Russia more and more understand the strategic importance of Greenland. So does Donald Trump as well. Was he ever going to, send the stormtroopers in and attack Greenland? Basically, it's 57,000 people who live in a very small part of it. Otherwise, it's mostly ice. But yeah, I don't think we need, SEAL Team 6 to go in there and take over Greenland. That was never going to happen, of course. But Trump always negotiates from a very extreme position and then gets what he can out of it by taking that extreme position where then everybody who he's negotiating with feels like, oh, they walked away and dodged a bullet when there was no bullet all along. That's just the way Trump negotiates. But anyway, if you think that, NATO, for example, is anti-Trump, guess again, because the NATO Secretary General, his name is Mark Rutte, and here he is telling the World Economic Forum that, you know what, on Greenland, Trump, 100% right. This is cut number 13, go.
So statements from me will not add anything here. And when it comes to the Arctic, I think President Trump is right. Other leaders in NATO are right. We need to defend the Arctic. We know that these sea lanes are opening up. We know that China and Russia are increasingly active in the Arctic. There are 8 countries bordering on the Arctic. 7 are a member of NATO. That's Finland and Sweden and Norway and Denmark, Iceland, Canada and the US. And there's only one country bordering on the Arctic outside NATO, and that's Russia. And I would argue there is a ninth country, which is China, which is increasingly active in the Arctic region. So President Trump and other leaders are right. We have to do more there. We have to protect the Arctic against Russian and Chinese influence. And that's exactly what NATO ambassadors decided to do in September. We are working on that, making sure that collectively will we defend the Arctic region.
Let me ask you this. Before Trump took office for his second term, how many people in this country, forget leaders, ever even uttered the word Greenland? Ever. It's not a thing, right? It's something that no one even talked about. And then Trump did and made jokes like he did with Canada that, well, this could be the 51st state. And people said, oh, you're ridiculous. You know, this is something that, why are we even paying attention to Greenland? Well, now apparently the NATO Secretary General says that it is absolutely crucial for the United States that have much more of a presence there because Russia and China understand what it means. If you control Greenland, you control those shipping lanes, and you can help control the world economy as a result. So amazing that, again, it feels like the left tries to portray like Trump as some sort of like blathering idiot who does weird social media posts at 3 a.m. in the morning. No, the guy's brain is constantly moving. And he's been talking about Greenland since day one, since he took office exactly 364 days ago. And now the world is at Davos, and what was the number one piece of conversation that never even existed before as a conversation on any level, and that is Greenland, and Trump was able to extract a great deal out of this. And what's Gavin Newsom talking about? What's his plan? In other words, boy, he's great about complaining about Trump and our stupid media. Whenever Gavin Newsom walks by a microphone, they don't ask him about, hey, how many homes have been rebuilt since the Palisades fire a year ago? How many? Oh, I can count that on one hand? Oh, okay, great. Have the reservoirs been filled? Fire hydrants have water now, Governor? Okay, what about, you said you're going to do all these things about homeless when you took office 8 years ago, and yet you have the largest homeless population in the country. You have the largest exodus out of any state in the country. Why are so many people leaving such a beautiful state like California? I've been there many times. It's great. It's got great weather for the most part outside of San Francisco, which, what's the coldest winter I ever spent was the summer I spent in San Francisco, the old saying. But otherwise, it's still a beautiful city. It was anyway. But under Pelosi and Newsom and others there. Think about the all-star lineup they have. Let's see. Newsom, Pelosi, Schiff, Swalwell, Alyssa Milano. Not good. Just not good at all. So that's California. And no one ever asked Newsom about all the problems with his state, the $18 billion that was spent for a high-speed train that was never, ever remotely even built as far as that rail is concerned, or all the tent cities, or all the drugs that are just infesting cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento, and so on, and the open border that was there for so long that he allowed as well. Obviously, the French Laundry I could bring up in terms of being a complete hypocrite. He's never asked about these things. It's always like, Trump is a bad guy, but how bad really is he? That's basically what Gavin Newsom gets asked as a question, but I never hear really him talking about the way Trump talks about things like Greenland, for example. Taking out Iran's nuclear facilities. Would Gavin Newsom ever do anything like that? Could he secure a peace deal in Gaza? Could he secure the U.S. southern border? Could he get gas prices as low as they are? Because guess where the highest gas prices in the country are right now? It's California because of all the regulations and gas tax that they have at that state at this point. So I could go on, but Newsom, he's there to troll, and it's just so obvious that he's running for president. But I think in the end, phonies don't win. Hillary was a phony. Kamala was a phony. Mitt Romney was a phony, if you want me to go to the Republican side. I don't think phonies win, and I think in the end Gavin Newsom is not embraced by even the left, because you think they're really going to take in the white, elitist, rich guy from California? Because California candidates in presidential elections since Ronald Reagan, they have not worked out very well. That's certainly for sure. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show on 77 WABC. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, 77 WABC. It's the Joe Concha Show. Joe Concha. Joe Concha. Joe Concha. 77 WABC.
Welcome back, everybody. So Michelle Obama on her, actually it wasn't her podcast. She went to call her daddy. Worked out well for Kamala Harris. Today she said that she would not support Barack Obama if Donald Trump was allowed to run for a third term. Then therefore, Obama, I guess, then would be allowed to run for a third term since he was a two-term president. And Michelle is saying that there's no way that she would support Barack running for a third term, even though, are they even together at this point? Does she even have a say in this whole thing? I just throwing that out there. Oh, man. Anyway, let's go through our 5 best sound bites of the day. We're going to start off with our friend Scott Jennings over on CNN. Yeah, I said that. That's true. They're not really competition, so I could say this. We have like 6 times the audience. Like, I care if I play CNN on here at this point. Not going to help them. But Scott Jennings does a good job on there. And here, he was asked by some liberal weenie in terms of this guy, Cameron Kasky. I've never heard of him before. I just hate the fact that Cameron's now a boy name because my daughter's name's Cameron, and I thought, I named her after Cameron Diaz. There's something about Mary. Thought it was definitely a girl's name, and now every boy in her grade is named Cameron. Not every boy's named Cameron, but every Cameron is a boy, and it's just kind of annoying. Anyway, to get to the whole point of this, here is Scott Jennings basically challenging this Cameron Kasky, who just said on national television that Trump was part of a global sex trafficking ring, and Scott Jennings was having none of it. This is cut number 8. Go.
Initiative that the president is being transparent about this. I would love it if he was more transparent about the human sex trafficking network that he was a part of, but you can't win them all.
Cameron's grateful that the president is being transparent about the Nobel Peace Prize and his desires for Greenland. Scott, what do you think about that?
You going to let that sit? Are we going to claim here on CNN that the president is part of a global sex trafficking ring? Or,
well,
I mean,
we're going to talk about the FC file. Scott, I will do the fact checking as we go along here.
Ugh, that's John Berman, another weenie, anchor on CNN. I will do the fact-checking around here. Well, you didn't do anything there, did you, until Jennings brought it up? No, Trump was never part of a global sex trafficking ring. If that were the case, then Democrats would have used that like 10 years ago if there was anything in the so-called Epstein files. And John Berman was very unhappy about that because one weenie protecting another weenie, I guess. Anyway, Jen Psaki, circle back, one of the most duplicitous, pretentious, pious, just insufferable White House press secretaries or anybody who's been in the public eye that has been part of my lifetime. Anyway, Psaki, way back when, said that Usha Vance doesn't feel safe around her husband, J.D. Vance, and that she should really signal for help because the marriage is in trouble or something. This is a flashback cut. This is cut number 9. Go, Jen Psaki.
I think the little Manchurian candidate, J.D. Vance, wants to be president more than anything else.
Right.
I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like,
Agreed.
Are you okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you.
Oh, save you, yeah. Well, it was announced yesterday by the Vances that Usha Vance, who I've met and is a very lovely person, I met JD as well at Mar-a-Lago once, and they have their 4th kid on the way. They just announced that Usha is pregnant. So much for the whole marriage is falling apart thing, but Jen Psaki has made lying basically her brand, so, basically on brand now at this point. Anyway, let's go to cut number 11, shall we? And this is, wow. Big news today, activist judge loses. Now DHS agents have a green light to unleash force on leftist agitators. If they are attacked, well, they're not going to sit there and take it. This is the Fox News report on this, and it is absolutely delicious because, again, these are not peaceful protesters. These are people out to hurt and instigate ICE agents, and it's a whole bowl of wrong, but now it's a whole bowl of right because this judge actually lost in this case. This is cut number 11. Go.
At a time where a federal appeals court has essentially frozen a ruling that put guardrails on federal agents in Minnesota when they were dealing with protesters. And I would agree, Jake, this isn't likely to be something that is going to turn the temperature down. He has taken this issue on and continued to fight fight for these federal agents, saying that the administration backs them.
That's right. All right. We're out of time, pretty much. I'm so sorry. I have other cuts as well. But I'm going to save them for tomorrow night, which at last check is Thursday. Right, Blaze? Thursday? Yes. This is Joe Concha. Come back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye-bye.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.